Welcome back to another video. We are 9-4 more. We talk Jags football and other news around the NFL. And around this time of the year, Brandon, there's no Jags football at all. It's
We're kind of used to that there's literally nothing except for maybe who's the head coach going to be.
right. But I'm Tyler, and this is Brandon. We're the co-host for 9-4 more. And Super Wild Card Weekend is officially over. And I would say, to me, it was kind of a dud a little bit. I was kind of looking forward to a lot of these games, and they ended up being blowouts.
Yeah, I even put on our Twitter, like I did a poll, like was this one of the worst like wild card like weekends in the past like decade that you could remember? And everybody said yes. Like there was not one person said no. It was a complete dud. And I would even say like technically the Cowboys lost, but I don't think many people really had the Cowboys winning that game. There was maybe a couple people, but really that was the one game everybody's like, this is probably the upset, and that's exactly what happened. So there was pretty much no surprises that happened.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about the game in a few moments, but start things off with the Saturday games, the Raiders and Bengals. That game could be arguably be the best wild card game over the weekend besides the 49ers and Cowboys. Bengals pull off the win 26-19, but there's a little, with the refs, a little controversy right now, talking about the blown whistle. To me, I don't think it mattered. That safety, Morik, he was not even close. That ball was going to be caught regardless.
Yeah.
But if we are being technical and being going by the rule book, the play should never stand, and they should have had to redo it. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, technically by the rule book, it shouldn't have stand. I think there was some arbitrary thing that the whistle isn't reviewable. So that was the whole thing, is once they called it a touchdown, they couldn't reverse it because the only thing that could stop it was the whistle, and the whistle isn't reviewable. So it was like some kind of weird language like that, which I've ref sports throughout my life. It's pretty well known that if the whistle blows, the play's dead. Like anything that happens after that, even if it was inadvertent, you just eat it up as a ref and say, yeah, I messed up, or I thought I saw something that didn't see it. And then you replay from where it was from there. So it's a mess, but either way, like you said, it was a touchdown. That was the Raiders didn't stop moving when they heard that whistle. There was no time to stop moving, and he was getting the ball. So either way, it should have been a touchdown. Just realistically, also shouldn't have been a touchdown. It's a weird gray area.
Either way, I still think the Bengals would have won. Bengals look pretty good in my opinion defensively. Once again, I talked about their defense very underrated in the last video. The Raiders, I thought for the most part, they started off pretty slow, but they started picking up towards the end of the game. I thought they were going to potentially score there.
And I mean,
they won the game. But Bengals pulled out, and it's gonna be interesting. Mike Mayock got fired yesterday, and he's not a terrible GM. When I was reading all these stories about Mike Mayock, when he came to their first round pick, who was that first round pick from Clemson? What was his name? Farrell, right?
Colleen Farrell.
Yeah, so he didn't want him. That was John Gruden. Mike Mayock wanted Devin White. That was the guy he wanted, but he went with what John Gruden wanted. Mike Mayock drafted all the guys in the later rounds: Max Crosby, Hunter Renfrow, all those. So I think he's going to potentially either go back to NFL Network or he'll get a job somewhere else. So pretty quickly.
Yeah, he'll probably do the 1 year, go back to NFL Network and see if there's a position open. Maybe Jacksonville. Who knows? Like, I mean, did he have a winning record, or was he like one game below 500?
They were always like the 7-9 in range, 8-8.
Yeah, I can't remember. He either finished one or above, basically 500, went to a playoff game. And I mean, I would take him here, to be honest. Like he did fine. I think he was fine. He was better than what we have here. Probably better than Dave Caldwell too. So can't really complain if he wanted to come here, or he does end up here. But I think he's going to go back. TV is such an easy gig, and you get paid so much money, and they're going to want him there just because of the whole Raiders thing that happened and stuff like that. He's going to have probably maybe some stories to break headlines and things like that. I have a feeling he's going to be going to TV and do just fine.
And he was awesome with the NFL Network, especially when it came to draft time.
Yeah, he was one of the top guys
and all that. Yeah.
But overall, I thought the game was pretty good. I thought it was entertaining. It kind of went back and forth, but overall, the score was a lot closer than I think the game actually was. It was pretty clear that the Bengals were the best team. It just happened to be a one-score game.
No, absolutely. And then one more thing about the Raiders, it's gonna be interesting to see who their head coach is. I know the interim head coach right now, all the players want him back, but they are going to start interviewing people. And I don't know. I'm kind of getting this vibe that Jim Harbaugh could be going back to the NFL and went to the Raiders.
I could see that as well. Of course, Harbaugh isn't, I don't think, saying anything. I think he said something along the lines of like, I'm gonna chill at home for a few days and then it's back on the road for recruiting kind of thing. But I wouldn't, to me, I don't know if that would be the correct thing to do for the Raiders. I would personally keep the guy that's there.
Players love him.
Yeah, but they're not going to. It's just they may have if they kept Mayock, but the fact that they got rid of Mayock, they're cleaning house, which I think is pretty crazy. They're cleaning house after they went to the playoffs and did pretty well. Like personally, I was one of those people that before the season started, I thought the Raiders were going to be one of the worst teams. Like in all honesty, like their wide receiving core didn't look great. They did that whole offensive line thing where they got rid of everybody. They brought in like aging veterans to play all their corners and they all played well. And then the whole Gruden thing. And it was just so much going on that I was just like, the fact that they even got to the playoffs to me is like, and in one of the toughest divisions, you had the Broncos who were pretty good, the Chiefs, the Chargers. That wasn't easy. And they were able to go there and be able to go in there. I would keep them, but they're clearly not going to. And like I said, I don't know if Harbaugh is going to be the answer there.
Yeah, who knows? It's still strange to me they're cleaning house after going to the playoffs, but
Dallas was rumored to do that too, and they made it to the playoffs. It's like apparently going to the playoffs now apparently is a fireable offense if you don't win the very first round.
That's it.
Yep, you're done.
Next up, we got the other Saturday game was the Patriots and the Bills. Bills won 47-17. This was a blowout. Right when the game started, it was like 21-0. Josh Allen had more touchdowns and incompletions. Phenomenal game by him, especially when it was with the windshield, it was like negative, something.
Yeah.
I mean, he was unbelievable. The offensive game plan was good. They ran the ball well. Defensively, that Micah Hyde interception, I thought it was a touchdown.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was a touchdown. I was just like, oh, what a pass by Mac Jones, and it was a really good pass. Micah Hyde made an unbelievable play, basically coming off the screen, like television. You couldn't even see him, I believe, and then all of a sudden he's there catching it pretty much with his helmet. It was a great interception.
Absolutely. Bills are going to be facing the Chiefs next week. We'll talk about later on, but I mean the Patriots defense had no answers for Josh Allen at offense. Mac Jones, his first playoff appearance, he was kind of shaky, but I think towards the end of the game, I know that the Bills were running a lot of prevent defense, but I think just for Mac Jones already as a rookie getting that playoff experience, it's going to only help him down the line.
Yeah, he was easily the best rookie this year. I also think he personally had the best setup. I mean, people want to talk about, their wide receiver core wasn't great. They had one of the best offensive lines, one of the best defenses, one of the best coaching staffs, 2 top 10 tight ends, and 2 very good running backs. Like if you put, I think Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, almost any of these guys in that same position, they would have done just as well, if not maybe even better. But Mac Jones definitely deserves credit, though. He still has to go out there and perform, and he didn't play terrible, especially like you said, in the weather conditions that were out there. That's really what you kind of expect a person to play at with that kind of weather. And Josh Allen just said, no, I'm going to basically have his shining moment that he's like, I might be one of the best quarterbacks in this league. Because some people kind of still put him down at like, 5, 6, maybe Burrow's better than him now. People still argue Lamar Jackson. No, I think especially if they go on, we'll talk later with the Chiefs, if they somehow win that game and he plays like he did, he's going to be talking about possibly being that conversation as the best quarterback in the league.
Oh, absolutely. And when he doesn't turn the ball over, I mean, that offense is basically unstoppable.
And when they run the ball, they finally ran. I think I saw David Singletary was the highest rated running back of the whole playoff wild card weekend. Who would have thought that was going to happen 7 weeks ago?
Yeah, in the last 6 weeks, he was actually one of the better running backs too. Exactly. Josh Allen's running the ball. I mean, they're just doing everything they were supposed to do when they played us.
Right. And that's why we beat them, because they weren't doing that. And now they've finally learned, okay, if the Jaguars can beat us playing this way, we should change our setup. And shortly after that's when they started switching and actually started running the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. But we'll talk more about the Bills later on. The Sunday games, we had the Philadelphia Eagles at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a game that we both picked the Eagles. I think some people actually thought the Eagles could pull off the upset. Like I said, you and me were both included in that conversation. But Tom Brady and the offense was unbelievable. Byron Leftwich had a great game plan. The defense played well. I know that there were some questionable calls with the refs, but you take that out of the way. The Bucs just outplayed the Eagles and it wasn't even close.
Yeah, it was not even a close game. I was pretty high on the Eagles. I thought they were going to do really well. I thought they were going to run the ball and not give Brady the ball at all. I thought, all those injuries that happened on the Bucs, especially on their offense, was like just put Slay on Mike Evans and then double coverage Gronk. That's all you got to do. But then it turns out they couldn't even stop the running game, which is one of the Eagles' best defensive wise, is their running defense. And that's really what killed them. And then Jalen Hurts just looked late on everything. He missed Smith in the end zone when the guy fell and ended up being an interception. He missed another one where he was, I don't know, I think it was Watkins just going down the field. It was a touchdown. Like I think Dan Orlovsky put like a video out of like he was literally looked like he was looking at him and then he just rolled to his left kind of thing. So Ertz was not on top of his game and the running game wasn't working. And then obviously they lost so many, they were down so quickly. They felt like they had to come back. And it almost kind of reminded me of the Cardinals versus the Rams. Like that exact start is pretty much how they panicked because nothing was working in the beginning and it just spiraled.
No, absolutely. And when the score gets 28-0, 23-0, and then the Eagles, they get a fourth down at the 50, and then they decide to punt. At that point, it's the playoffs. Why don't you go for it? You're already down by like 4 scores. Like that's just one thing that always bothers me when it comes to playoff time.
There was one time it was 4th and 10. They went for it and they got it. And then there was another time it was like 4th and 5 and they punted. And I was like, why are you going for it on 4th and 10? But then like 2 drives later, it's 4th and 5 and you punt the ball. Like, and the score didn't change. Nothing changed. And to me, that shows, I think, Sirianni's kind of weakness as being his first head coach with game management, figuring out what we're going to do and game planning when everything goes wrong. I think he panicked too. And I think they were very sporadic in what they thought was going to somehow keep them in the game. And they didn't start getting their grasp until late. And that's obviously when the game was already over.
No, absolutely. And when it comes to Jalen Hurts, I think the Eagles should give Jalen Hurts at least one more year. He's very athletic. He has athletic ability, but he has 2 things he needs to work on. It's very similar to when Gardner Minshew was here. The first one's pocket presence. When he has a clean pocket, he doesn't step in the pocket. I noticed that. And then he overthrows or underthrows his guys. And then he's very inaccurate right now. He has his games where he's accurate and the games where it just looks like he has no idea where he's throwing the ball at all.
Yeah, and I would argue the fact that they should just keep him for another 4 years, to be honest. If you looked at he's played 20 career regular season games. Or no, I think it's 20 career games in total. I think he had 19 regulars because he got hurt some of the game. I think he missed like 2 games or whatever and started 4 last year. He got better than last year by leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
If you give this man, you have 3 first-round picks. They're going to need another offensive lineman because Jason Kelce is getting up there in age and their right guard is a rotational position. If they get like Tyler Lindenbaum or Green from Texas A&M, one of those guys, put them there and give them like Garrett Wilson. And you have Garrett Wilson and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. I want to see what he can do with that. Because honestly, he's looked really good this season. Has some statistical thing where it's like, I think just him and Kyler Murray for the amount of running yards and the amount of passing yards in 1 year. So he's talented as all get out. I wouldn't, to get to this Eagles team to the playoffs and have 20 career starts and be able to do what he's doing right now. I think 1 year, I think it's ridiculous that people are even bringing up the idea that maybe they shouldn't bring him back next year. Or he's on a rookie deal too, or extend him, or he only has 1 more year. Like, do went to the playoffs. Here we are again, that apparently now the playoffs are not good enough and you have to perform right away. What if they did that to Josh Allen? Josh Allen looked terrible his first playoff game against the Texans. You could argue he cost him the game with how many turnovers and his dumb decisions. And now look at him. I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is going to be Josh Allen, but imagine if the Bills were like, you know what, that's not good enough. We're going to get rid of him. It's stupid. That's my Eagles rant.
Yeah. And I seen this some on Twitter, Eagles guy. He does kind of like, little articles about the Eagles and all that. No one like, famous, popular around like, Twitter or anything like that, but it just pulled up on the feed and all that. And I was talking about like, what did the Eagles have to give up to potentially get the number 1 pick from the Jags? And they kind of do this chart where it kind of what the number 1 pick equals. And if they wanted the number 1 pick, they would have to give up all 3 first-round picks, which for the Jags, like for us, I'm all for it though. Like, give me all 3 of your first-round picks. You can have pick 1.
Oh, if you're the Jaguars, you run to wherever you put in the trade for that to happen. I don't honestly this year with how the top 10 is set up players wise, there's no that one QB, but pretty much there's like 5 to 7 guys that are, I think you can almost interchange at the number 1 overall pick. Jags are already doing that with 3 guys, with Evan Neal, Hutchinson, and Thibodeau, that pretty much you ask any Jags fan, you're going to get one of those 3 options. And then you still got guys like Kyle Hamilton, who I personally think is probably the best overall player possibly in this draft. He just plays safety. And is that really where you're going to take as your number 1 overall kind of situation? So you got, in my opinion, 5 to 7 guys after that too, that are going to go over that same range. So this is the year to trade out, but the problem is no one's going to want to trade up. So if we do trade down,
no, absolutely,
we're not getting 3 first-round picks. We're not even getting 2 probably. It's probably going to, like a lot of people had the Giants, I think they had 5 and 7 going up to number 1. If I'm the Giants, I'm not giving up pick 5 and 7 because the odds of pick 5 and 7 being better than pick 1 are actually kind of high this year. So to me, we may get a swap and maybe like a second round and maybe like a second round next year, but I think that's about as best as we're getting, and maybe that's not worth trading out, so that way you get your guy.
Yeah, and there's other players. The linebacker from Georgia, if we can somehow trade out, he's actually one of my favorites. Someone that Eagles I think should definitely target because Eagles
they're
linebacker
getting
right now
either
might be
him or the guy from
worth
and that third pick. That's what I'm saying. You get the 2 offensive guys and you get that one of those 2 linebackers with that third pick.
Absolutely. And it kind of goes back to the Eagles. Like there's really no good quarterbacks coming out this year that's worth top 5. So you give Jalen Hurts that 1 more year, and if he doesn't improve and you don't see the improvement when it comes to accuracy or pocket presence, you can go ahead and move on from him, because next year's quarterback class is probably very similar to this year's quarterback class of 2021. There's going to be a lot of good quarterbacks coming out. So I think that's where the Eagles, if they want to draft a quarterback, could be next year.
It could be, but I still personally, I would give him quite some time. He's still on a rookie deal. Give the guy a couple of years before you toss him aside to some team who may actually do really well with him.
I agree, but it seems like just the way the generation of football is nowadays, it seems like you get 2-year max now. That's what it seems like you get now.
Well, there's not even a 2-year max, because I've been arguing with people on Twitter that people are saying Trevor Lawrence is utter crap. And it's like, it was 1 year in one of the worst possible situations you could ever put in a quarterback, but apparently he's trash. It's people just want it now, and apparently because they all see Justin Herbert kind of thing, like, oh, Herbert was good right away, why can't this guy be good? And it's like, you guys, they got to calm it down. You got to give these guys at least 2 to 3 years minimum.
No, I agree. So let's go into the next matchup, the 49ers and the Cowboys, 23-17. Now this right here could have been the game of the whole weekend. 49ers, I thought, looked really well on all 3 phases for the most part, besides that Jimmy G interception late in the game that almost cost them losing this game. The Cowboys started off very slow. A lot of these teams this weekend started off very slow, but Cowboys almost came back, except for that dumb, I don't know what Kellen Moore was thinking. And then Mike McCarthy goes, yeah, I mean, we went ahead and we went along with the play call, letting Dak run with like 10 seconds left, which was stupid and mind-boggling to me, because you're already at the 40, you throw a 5-10-yard out route, then you only have to go 30 yards for your 30 yards for your Hail Mary. With the weapons you have, you might actually get it. Yeah,
well, I think who was Romo the announcer? I can't remember. I know it wasn't.
Yeah, he was.
He was mad because he was at the Eagles. Romo pointed out the 49ers were not playing the outside at all when they were going down the field that drive. So all the outside was open and they were moving down the field. Then all of a sudden the 49ers did it. So Kellen Moore's like, oh, then I'll just get 20 yards up the middle. I think, honestly, I would almost put blame on Dak on this one, because
he slid earlier.
Really had time. He for some reason, I think, went past the line he was supposed to slide at. Instead went like 7 to 10 yards farther, which for no reason wasted about 4 more seconds. And then the whole giving the ball to the center and not the ref, and standing in the ref's way when the ref is literally, people were giving the refs crap. He gave the refs crap when literally they're like, that dude hauled all the way from the back, like 30 yards sprinting, fought through your guys to get it set up for you as quickly as possible. And he's going to go out and say, yeah, good for the fans for throwing bottles and trash at the refs, when that guy was literally trying to help you. So to me, Dax and his whole comments and stuff like that. To me, he's the reason they lost this game. And he
Yeah.
didn't play well before that play either. It wasn't like he was playing lights out and just had this. He was not playing good at all.
Yeah, and then what was it? I think he would he go down around like the 20-25 yard line. He probably should have stopped at 30-35. And I mean, that's not a long Hail Mary. You have
No,
Amari
it's not even a
Cooper,
Hail
CeeDee
Mary.
Lamb.
That's 30 yards. Hail Mary is like 50 yards.
Yeah, so you have a lot more plays you can do. Yeah, they're gonna be playing prevent defense, but it's you can get it. You can make that touchdown happen.
You got Amari Cooper, you got Dalton Schultz, you got CeeDee Lamb. Like, it's not like you don't have receivers. And as compared to the 49ers secondary, which is not very good. That's like the whole thing about the 49ers. Their weak point is their secondary. So that's your shot. And he messed it up. If there's anyone to blame, Kellen Moore has some blame for calling that, but I think Dak executed it poorly.
No, yeah, I agree. Just Dak, I think the play calling in general was bad. I think you give blame obviously to Dak, but I think you give blame to everyone, especially defensively. How many penalties are they going to get called for? I mean, they were the most penalized all season, but they had over like 130 this game.
Someone like yards? 15 penalties in total. I think they set a record for most penalties in a playoff game.
Yeah, I mean, it was something like that, very undisciplined. So I think you have to blame pretty much everyone on that team because 49ers played well offensively. For the most part, defensively, they played lights out. But the Cowboys, they came in this game. Yeah, a lot of people picked the 49ers, but you were favored for a reason.
Yeah.
You have the better talent, the better playmakers. You're obviously the better team, and you kind of just handed the game to the 49ers by the way you played the game.
Yeah, and you couldn't even take advantage of their mistakes. That's the other thing too, is that good teams move on in the playoffs. Weird stuff happens. It's the teams that take advantage of the other team's mistake, and they didn't take advantage of it.
No, absolutely. I agree 100%. But the Cowboys are eliminated. Eagles eliminated. So I feel like, with the Eagles losing, it kind of feels a little bit better for you that the Cowboys are also.
It was at least a little bit of a bittersweet of like, man, this sucks, but hey, at least they lost too.
Right. Absolutely. So we had one more on Sunday night, which is the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a game that I think we all saw the score coming 42-21. But that first quarter, man, it was 0-0. And the Steelers get that defensive touchdown. I was like, all right, the Steelers about to pull off this upset, or maybe like it was gonna be maybe a 17-10 game, very low scoring. But all of a sudden, Patrick Mahomes throws 5 touchdowns, over 400 yards, and basically all in the second half almost, and just pulls away with it.
Yeah, I won't even lie. I didn't even watch this game. I was like, there's no point in me staying up for this. I stayed up for the Bills for a good amount. I was like, this was a waste. And I kept track of it just in case if all of a sudden something changed or whatever. But we all knew what this was going to be. Like, there was the Steelers at first kind of started off strong on defense, which makes sense. But after that, it was complete domination. So it was just like, yep, I'm glad I didn't even waste my time with it. Because we all knew what was going to happen. This one would have been one of the biggest ups. This would have been like almost on the same level, in my opinion, as when the Seahawks beat the Saints and Marshawn Lynch did the beast mode run. Something like that would have had to happen for this game, and for them to be doing it. Ben Roethlisberger would have had the greatest game of his career to beat Patrick Mahomes, and we all knew what didn't happen wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, and I think I talked about this last video. I was never a Steelers fan. I always hated them just because of the rivalry with us and the Jags. But lately, I just kind of not minding the Steelers. It's more so Big Ben. I kind of respect him a lot more. As a player. I mean, he's a good player. He's a future Hall of Famer, first ballot for Hall of Fame.
He's easily first ballot.
Yeah, I mean, when he was in his prime, he was unbelievable, hard to take down. I mean, he was very athletic. He could actually run with the football.
Yeah, you wouldn't know that now. Tell like a kid who's like the first year is watching football and be like, that guy used to be really good, actually.
Right, and that's where Blake Bortles got those comparisons right away. But I was kind of getting that vibe that it seemed like Big Ben was kind of through with the game as it right when it started. It seemed like I don't want to say he threw the game against the Ravens, but I just feel like he didn't care anymore. He just was kind of ready to go off into the sunset, enjoy time with his family. He just did one more year just because they kind of left on a bad note last year, and he just wanted to finish it out strong.
Yeah, I don't even think they thought they were going to go to the playoffs this year, to be honest. I think Big Ben, Mike Tomlin definitely are not going to be those type of guys that say we're going to roll over and die, but everybody kind of knew the Steelers are it's kind of a miracle they got here. And I mean, the Jaguars, hey, they made that miracle happen. But They needed that to happen. And I think you're right. I think Ben wanted to win this game. But I think he went in with no expectations of actually
Well, I
winning.
mean, he basically said it too. He said, "What are we like 14-point underdogs, 20 points?" Says we're probably gonna lose, so let's go have fun. I mean, that's how you pull off an upset, knowing the team you are. Just go have fun. There's no expectations. You don't have to play perfect because you have nothing to lose.
Like the Jaguars did versus the Colts. There was a 14-point. I think was it more than a 14 point?
Yeah, I think it was like 15 or 16. Yeah,
Something like that. And they went out there and they had fun. They said, you know what, we're gonna be that team that's gonna mess up our division rivals season. And that's what they did. So they probably win that mindset, but the Chiefs are too good. And we saw that's the end result.
absolutely. Then we had the Monday night game last night, Cardinals versus Rams. Kyle Murray looked awful. Rams won 34-11. I picked the Rams. I think you picked the Cardinals. Either way, I thought this game was gonna be a lot closer, like kind of a nail biter. But I mean, I was surprised of how bad Kyle Murray played. Like he was inaccurate, that terrible pick six. I mean, I think you texted us and saying this is garbage. I mean, yes, this game was absolute garbage and a waste of time.
Yeah, I only watched the first half of this. That's all you needed to watch. I bet more people probably even watched less than this. This was the worst game of the weekend. As bad as the Bills and the Patriots game was lopsided, the Bucs and the Eagles. You were watching this game. What is it? They went through in like almost the entire first half and had like -7 total yards.
Yeah.
And that is just for a playoff game for a team that had 11 wins to have -7 yards throughout almost half the game. It's garbage. That is one of the worst playoff performances, I think, of almost all time, at least first half wise. Yeah, they did a little bit better when they finally got James Conner and hitting there, but that's what the Rams already knew they were winning. They were just like, yeah, you can score maybe once, and then that's about it. And they were just going down the field and just work you in every level of the field and completely dominate. And that's what they did. It was one of the worst games that you could ever watch.
I think you tweeted out and said that Cardinals are kind of going to be like the Marvin Lewis Bengals. They're always going to be in the playoffs, 10, 11 wins, but they're not going to be, much more than that. And I kind of see that actually.
I mean, they've kind of proven that. Everybody has such high expectations of the Cardinals. At one point I had them being the Super Bowl winner. They were playing so well and they looked like a unit. Kyler Murray was MVP talks for a while, and then it kind of just slowly died off. And with their cap situation coming up and the amount of players that they're losing, Chandler Jones is going to be gone. They still have no answers at corner. JJ Watt's going to be gone. He didn't even play that much this year. And then two of the receivers are going to be gone next year too, AJ Green and Christian Kirk. So they're going to, and both of their running backs are also free agents. So they're going to bring some guys back, obviously, but I have a feeling they're going to overcorrect in the wrong areas. Like they're going to be like, oh, we only scored 11 points, then let's just overpay wide receivers, when really their hole is defense. I think they're going to be really lacking on defense and really lacking offensive line. They're going to overcorrect in the wrong areas. And that's how you become a really stable team, but you're never going to go to that next level because they're not going to be good on every level of the team on offense and defense.
Yeah, it's definitely be interesting to see how they rebound. I mean, it's a bad taste they're going to have in their mouth going into the offseason.
Yeah,
for sure. All right, so let's go and talk about divisional round matchups. We're going to do our quick predictions here. Saturday's game, we have the Cincinnati Bengals at the Tennessee Titans. This is a very interesting game because Derrick Henry, as you know, he's not. They haven't officially said he's playing yet. I think today or tomorrow he's going to be in pads for the first time since his injury at practice, and then they said they will see how he's going to do in practice. So I think right now it's a 50-50 shot. Even if he doesn't play, just his presence out there alone is going to make it a lot harder to stop the Titans offense because you're still going to stack the box against Derrick Henry, even if he's not 100%, or he can only be out there half the time. At the end of the day, though, I do think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be pulling off the upset and give me the Bengals to win maybe around like 3 points.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be that big of a gap because the Titans defense is still really good. Mike Vrabel is the coach of the year. AJ Brown is playing out of his mind right at the right time. And Devontae Foreman is actually doing pretty well running the ball for them. So if they can maybe get him going, and then maybe Derrick Henry is the complimentary back for once in his career, just because there's no way he's going to be full speed. Like it's absolutely, I mean, Cam Akers looked pretty good, but Cam Akers has been practicing for like a few weeks. So it's going to be really tough for Derrick Henry, and I hope they don't. I mean, I'm not going to root for someone to be hurt or get even more injured, but I hope the Titans don't feel like they're so far down that they had to put Derrick Henry in, even though he's not healthy, and possibly ruin his career in some way. So as much as I would like to see him there, I'm not going to waste that guy. He's literally the best running back in the league, and it would be a shame if he's not playing football because they got desperate. But yeah, best quarterback, Joe Burrow versus Ryan Tannehill. Joe Burrow's instantly better than Ryan Tannehill by a mile. I'm taking the Bengals, like you said. Maybe not by 3 scores, maybe like 10 points.
Oh, I said 3 points.
Oh, 3 point. Oh, I thought you said by 3 scores.
Nah.
But I was like, man, that's a bold prediction right there. I don't think it's gonna be that bad. But yeah, I think maybe like 10-point game. I could see that. Kind of like the Raiders, where the Bengals are going to control the whole game, but the score is going to be closer than what the actual game was.
I can definitely see it. The other Saturday game is the San Francisco 49ers at the Green Bay Packers. Let's see if the 49ers can pull off another upset. The one thing 49ers do have going with them is that they are kind of the kryptonite of Aaron Rodgers when it comes to the playoffs. I think there's a stat. I'm not 100% on this, but I think I saw somewhere where Aaron Rodgers has actually never beat the 49ers in the postseason. I think he's like 0-2 or 0-3. But this Aaron Rodgers this year, I feel like I say this every year, but I really do mean it. I just think this Aaron Rodgers is on a whole nother level. He's probably going to win MVP. He should win MVP by the way he's playing. The only bad game he had was that week 1 game against the Saints when it was here in Jacksonville. Other than that, he's been lights out. The Packers defense has been playing lights out. I don't think it's going to be a close game at all. I think the 49ers might keep it close the first quarter, and then we'll make halfway through the second, and all of a sudden the Packers are just going to pull away with it.
Yeah, especially the way they played against the Cowboys. Like, you may be able to beat the Cowboys like doing that, but you're not going to beat the Packers doing that. So I agree. This is probably going to be a really cold game. And I mean, that might actually help out the 49ers and the fact that their running game is really, really good with Elijah Mitchell and their offensive line. And Deebo Samuel. Imagine tackle Deebo Samuel out in the cold like that. Like that doesn't sound fun to try to do, but Packers got way more weapons. Their defense is just not as good, if not better than the 49ers. So I think this may be the only blowout, I think, of the week, especially with extra rest. They basically didn't play the last week. They played like the first half, I think. Then they had a whole week off to game plan. So and then Jimmy Garoppolo is also hurt. He's dealing with a shoulder injury. He said he's going to play, and I don't know. I think he broke the bone. That's like
he has messed up hand. He has everything.
Hand. He has a hurt shoulder now. And then you're going to be out there in that cold taking those hits by the Green Bay Packers with Zadarius Smith coming back and Campbell. Can't remember his first name. I think it's Devondre. Campbell coming off the edge, has best year of his career, one of the top linebackers, and then he's just going to I think he's going to take too many hits, and it's going to show as the game progresses.
Yeah, I definitely think that Packers defensive line is going to get after Jimmy G. So let's go into Sunday's game. We have the Rams at the Bucs. This is definitely interesting matchup. The Rams actually kind of whooped the Bucs earlier in the year when the Bucs were fully healthy. Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones should be back this game, I believe.
You would assume. You never know.
It's so hard to pick against Tom Brady, especially when it gets to playoffs, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick the Rams to pull off a very close game, maybe by 3 points to 7 points. I think it's going to be pretty much close the whole entire game. And I think the Rams are going to get that last score, and the Rams are going to go on to the NFC Championship game.
This is tough. One of the key players to watch is Tristan Wirfs is going to play. He got hurt.
That's huge.
And Josh Wells, former Jaguar, was out there playing tackle, and he was getting killed by Ryan Kerrigan. Ryan Kerrigan was messing Josh Wells to pieces.
And Kerrigan didn't do anything all year for the Eagles.
No, and that was when the Bucs stopped scoring, was when Tristan Wirfs was out and Kerrigan was just getting to Brady almost anytime Brady dropped back. So that would be something to watch. If Tristan Wirfs is not playing this game and you put Von Miller on Wirfs or Leonard Floyd, it's not going to be pretty for Brady. And then you have Jalen Ramsey out there and just Aaron Donald also running. The Rams, man, like you said, this is the one I'm torn about, to be honest. The Sunday games might be one of the best playoff. We went from terrible to, I think this Sunday night these 3:00 and 6:30 might be one of the best playoff matchups we've had in a very long time in the divisional round. But I'm going to go Brady just because I think Wirfs will play. And I learned my lesson with the Eagles. I'm not going to pick against Brady with a quarterback who hasn't won in the playoffs. Matt Stafford won his first career playoff start the other night, I'm not going to bet against the guy who has like 50 more than them. So I'm going to go with Tom Brady in the Bucks. But that's
Right.
I could totally see the Rams. Like I said, I was getting torn to pieces like myself of like who to pick, but I'm going to pick Brady.
This one is very hard to predict. Honestly, I think a lot of these games, besides the 49ers, Packers, are very hard to predict. But I actually wanted to bring something up about the Rams. It was an article that came out today or yesterday, or maybe one of the past few days about the Rams. Well, they were doing like prediction for 2022 and all that. And they're talking about in the article that an NFC executive believes that Sean McVay, he's only 35 years old, but he's trying to get that Super Bowl ring super fast where he can dip from coaching and go work for like Fox or CBS as one of the main announcers, make his money, take a break from coaching, and eventually 5 to 10 years down the road, go back to coaching once he wins that Super Bowl.
I mean, I could see it. It's so much easier being an announcer. And he's one of the smartest guys in football. I think we talked about on a podcast before. He can literally name like the exact play and exactly how it happened that like 3 or 4 years ago, and just some random play. Like the dude has unbelievable football mind, and he would probably be a perfect fit to be in the booth somewhere or hosting Sunday Night Football or whatever it is that he wants to do. He can do whatever, and I could see it, but I don't know, man. It'd be tough to get that taste of victory with the Super Bowl ring and then walk away from it.
That would rub some people the wrong way too. I feel like the Rams
I
organization,
don't know
I get Super Bowl and I'm out.
He may get another job after that, but that's going to be a discussion when if he does try to come back. He's going to make enough money that he could probably retire at the age of 45 if he wanted to.
Probably has enough money to retire now, let's be honest.
Yeah, now, realistically, now. But I don't know. Maybe that is with Matthew Stafford, because Stafford's getting up there. They have no draft capital. They're paying all their guys ridiculous money to come here. At some point in time, it's going to fall, and it's going to fall spectacularly. And he may want to dip before that happens.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens down the road. Still plenty of time, though, for Sean McVay, I would say. Then we go to 6:30 game Sunday. This right here could be the best matchup of the whole playoff weekend, divisional round weekend. The Bills at the Chiefs. The Bills pulled off the upset earlier in the season at Kansas City. I've been weighing this back and forth. I can make a reason why the Bills should win or the Chiefs should win. If Josh Allen and the Bills play the way they did this past Saturday against the Pats, give me the Chiefs. But I just can't pit against Patrick Mahomes in the playoff time at Arrowhead in Kansas City. I think this is going to be a very high scoring game, even though both defenses have been playing really well now. I think this could be like a 38-31 game. Give me the Chiefs to win.
Yeah, whoever gets the ball last, that's who I'll say will win. I mean, I'll pick a team, but literally probably whoever has the last chance to score will probably be the winner of this game. I agree. I think the Chiefs, it's really hard in the NFL to beat a team, to sweep a team pretty much. And if you already beat the team, it makes it even harder for them to beat them next time because they game plan for it. And you really can't game plan of like, well, what if they did this differently? It's a lot, but it's really difficult to be a team twice in the same season. And be the Chiefs twice in the same season is probably even harder. In Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek, like all they're clicking. The Steelers defense is, the Bills technically had the number 1 overall defense. But like you said, they had no Pro Bowlers. They don't have anybody like TJ Watt coming off the edge. And Tre'Davious White isn't playing. I think the Chiefs will end up winning this game, but I agree. I think if you told me you're going to pick the Bills, I wouldn't say that's dumb kind of thing. Like this game could go either way. I don't know what the spread of it is, but I'm guessing it's got to be less than 3.
I think it's like 2.5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's got to be less than 3. There's no way that they're giving 3 points to anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this also, whoever wins this game is going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I do. This is the AFC Championship game. The AFC champ, whoever wins this, the next game will be a formality. Unless, I wouldn't put away the Bengals. The Bengals did beat the Chiefs. It took like the last drive to beat them. But I agree. I think this game will be the AFC Championship game technically.
No, yeah, absolutely. I agree. I like all these matchups. They can go either way, except for, like I said, the Packers 49ers. You can make a reason why Titans should win, why the Bengals should win, Rams, Bucks, Bills, Chiefs. I'm excited for this weekend. I think we're going to see some good football for once in the playoffs, because this past weekend was not very good at all. Nope. Kind of a waste. I don't want to say waste of time, but it was kind of a waste of time sitting there all day watching these blowouts in the playoffs.
Well, that's
But
why I stopped watching half of them because it was just like, why would I keep watching this?
yeah,
This is just at like, especially the Eagles one. Went to hang out and I left by the end of the third quarter. I was like, I already know what's going to happen. I think by that time it was 28-0 or something like that. And I was just like, we're not coming back to win this. I'm even done watching this. It was atrocious. And that's when they scored two touchdowns. So I was like, maybe I shouldn't have been watching the whole time, but
right.
I'm
You're
not, I
well
don't,
lucky.
if I can, I'm going to try not to miss any of these.
Yeah, I believe it. So my two favorite matchups are the 6:30 Sunday game and I'm really looking forward to the Bengals Titans game. Those are my two favorites. But other than that, though, make sure you guys all hit that subscribe button. Go follow us on Twitter at 9 and 4 more. And thanks for watching.
Go Jags.